The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts and guests as individuals, and do not necessarily reflect those of advertisers or sponsors. This show is intended as entertainment and commentary only. The producers strive for verisimilitude, but nothing said on this podcast should be taken as fact by the listener or viewer without performing due diligence.
That existence, the physical universe, is basically playful. There is no necessity for it whatsoever. It isn't going anywhere. That is to say, it doesn't have some destination that it ought to arrive at.
This is Keep Your Hat On, a show by three nerdy nobodies and one nerdy kind of somebody about nothing in particular. Keep Your Hat On is brought to you by the Narrowband Broadcast Network, NBBN. The focus is on you. By PodSquadPDX.com, painless podcasting. And by the kind support of KYHO fans everywhere via Patreon. Create on your own terms. On this episode, Andrew gets us up to speed on Medical Misadventure Part 2 and why he can drink all the coffee he wants without having to go visit the little producer's room. Then Chris takes us down the old RONCO rabbit hole. But wait, there's more. Dr. Mark gives us his 3 songs. And Robert, well, he's just here for eye candy. I'm your omnipresent announcer, Mr. Bramage, here to say, call now. Our hats are standing by. Anyhow, here's Andrew, Robert, Dr. Mark, and Senor Slapchop himself, Chris.
And hello, and welcome back. This is Keep Your Hat On, the show where hell even we don't know where we're going to go. I'm Andrew Scott, along with my good friends, Ty, Robert Anthony, and Christopher Vacano, and Dr. Mark C.E. Peterson. And I will say this, one of us does not have to worry about bathroom breaks today.
Lovely.
Thank you for sharing.
Right, yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, very, very briefly. For those of you who have been following along, I had an issue back in June, July, where I wound up in the emergency room for a couple days. Kind of got bit in the, I was going to say bit in the ass, but that's not entirely right. I got bit in the kidney again and wound up in the hospital again. Everything is okay. But we're just going to say that I, until further notice, do not have an urgency to get up and run to the bathroom. But I would love to give a huge shout out to everybody up at Legacy Good Samaritan Hospital in Portland, Oregon, who I pretty much told every single worker about our podcast.
Hi, folks.
Right? And a number of them were actually rather interested in the show. So if you are tuning in from Legacy Good Sam or are doing it on your off time, thank you so much for your amazing care. You guys were all fabulous human beings, and I got to give a special shout out to my anesthesiologist. I did have a surgical procedure while I was there, and I will say this. This was kind of like having a 20-minute bromance with John Hamm from Mad Men.
Cool.
But the one thing that I really want to say about this that touched me in a very surprising way is, well, this is the first time that I've been put under general anesthetic since, I want to say like 1989. It's been a long time for me, being a person who winds up with a lot of medical issues. I haven't had to go under in a long time. And, you know, I was obviously nervous. I was in the hospital as a surprise to me. But this guy took the time when I was being rolled into surgery, and I met him for the first time. He insisted on shaking my hand. And that was a surprisingly moving gesture. Not only did I suddenly realize that was the first time I shook somebody's hand in like 19 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the other thing is for him to give such an overt, you're putting yourself in my hands. Here's my hand.
That's nice.
That was a really big deal.
That was sweet.
But the
That
thing
is
that he
very cool.
noticed was my tattoo. Now, if people out at home haven't seen, I have a tattoo on a particular finger. And I got this tattoo at a particular time in our nation's history where people get called snowflakes.
What do you know?
And when I shook his hand, I had an IV in my right hand, so I shook it with my left hand. And he looks at that and he goes, oh, that's a really interesting tattoo. And I was like, yeah, it's my special snowflake tattoo. And he literally grabbed my hand, held it up. I'm laying on the gurney. He held it up into the surgery, waved it around, and went, look at this guy's tattoo. Here, do it. Do the thing. Do the thing. And the entire operating room fucking erupted. To go into a surgical procedure like that was surprisingly moving and put me at ease in a way that I'm finding hard to put into words, even though I'm using the words now. But the other thing I got to say is, boy, did anesthetic come a long way since I was last put under.
Yeah.
He said, because, you know, the whole thing of count back from 100 and so that they can gauge where you are in the process. He didn't bother to tell me that. He just went, okay, I'm going to have you go to sleep for a little while. No problem. And I was trying to be a good patient and go, okay. And I just said, I'm feeling it. And then boom. And then the very next thing, boom, I'm awake, completely cogent and talking with a slightly sore throat. I didn't realize that they were going to actually intubate me. And they did. But the one thing that I really wanted to carry out of that is, and it's funny, is, I do professional voiceover work. The day after being intubated, I sounded like fucking James Earl Jones. And I wanted to keep that. I was just like, I was thinking about calling my partner and saying, hey, bring a good microphone. I got some shit I got to record here because I sound like the golden-throated god.
All right, next podcast will be funny surgery stories because I have a few at this point.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I figured between the three of us,
let's save them. We're
all
old enough now.
I've got a couple of good ones too. Yep.
But anyways, listen, folks, we're going to have a fun show today. It's not going to be all surgical talk, and my kidneys are fine, but this is Keep Your Hat On, the show where, hell, even we don't know where we're going to go. I'm Andrew Scott. That's Dr. Mark C.E. Peterson. That is Ty Robert Anthony, and that is Christopher Ficano. And we'll be right back on the other side of this break and get the show started. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back. Really.
Play the latest episode of Keep Your Hat On podcast on Amazon Music.
Here's Keep Your Hat On from Amazon Music.
So that's a thing you can do now. And welcome back to Keep Your Hat On, the show where, hell, even we don't know where we're going to go. I'm Andrew Scott, along with Ty Robert Anthony and Dr. Mark Peterson. And we're throwing it over to Chris Ficano. Chris, you're taking us down the memory lane of something that all us Gen Xers and Boomers probably hold in our hearts with some degree of fondness. What do you have this week?
Yeah. Down the memory lane rabbit hole.
Right.
So, do you guys remember Magic Microphone?
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later.
Exactly.
Of course I do.
Absolutely.
Where do you think my voiceover dream started?
Hey, this Christmas party is getting a little too quiet. I think it's time we liven it up with my favorite Christmas gift, Mr. Microphone. Hey, what's that? Well, you set the dial on your FM radio and testing. Hey, I'm on the radio.
These kids are having a fabulous time with Mr. Microphone, the cordless microphone that actually puts your voice on the radio.
It's funny. I got to thinking about Mr. Microphone. I was searching around on Amazon looking at remote mics and things like that, and I was like, Mr. Microphone really sort of pioneered like Bluetooth before it was even Bluetooth. But
yeah,
anyway,
honestly,
that's all beside the point. So I got to thinking about Mr. Microphone, and the whole thought just kind of mushroomed into, let's talk about RONCO. Ron Popeil, he passed away about 2 months ago. So
was it that recent?
Yeah, it was July 28th.
Okay.
And he's got a pretty remarkable life story. The evolution that led to Magic Microphone and beyond.
To be clear, Magic Microphone was not the first RONCO product, for God's sake.
Not by a long shot.
Yeah.
No.
I think it's probably the point where that company and that set of offerings became most visible to people because the Mr. Microphone just blew the F up.
Well, and those commercials ran all the time, and the funny thing, you referenced the one we all remember with the cool looking kid with the blonde curly hair in the back of the convertible.
The convertible.
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later.
And we all wanted to be that kid, right? I mean, I know I did.
No.
Well,
I saw
I'm a bit younger than you. I thought that was the epitome of cool.
Yeah, my instant read on that guy was, that's one of the douchebags that I don't like in high school.
Well, and I mean, in retrospect, I was thinking, that.
Yeah, but still, yeah.
But what's funny about that commercial is in the following year after that commercial aired.
What was that year?
That was 1978.
Okay.
So it was like 1979 or 1980. They did a Christmas version of the commercial with like this little 5-year-old kid in front of a Christmas tree on a mini bike that he had just gotten for Christmas with a magic microphone saying, "Hey,
oh yeah, all the things that were appropriate then that are completely and utterly inappropriate now.
Yeah, they're just completely wrong now. Yeah, so Ron Popeil founded. It wasn't originally called RONCO. It was called the S.J. Popeil Company. So he founded this company to promote his father's products. His father developed all sorts of cool kitchen gadgets and kitchen devices, and so he built this company to start promoting that. And then he took it to TV. And that's where he was inspired by the street hustling that he saw in Chicago.
Yeah, hawkers. Yeah.
Yeah, the guys that were out there, just selling stuff. And he figured, forget the street. Let me take that to television. This is a medium where I can reach the entire country.
Yeah, and at that time, that's not a form of advertising that really existed. We all think that it's completely ubiquitous and always has been. Mm-hmm. But back in the late 70s, that's not the kind of advertising, even for small products.
Didn't really exist. He basically invented the 30-minute infomercial.
Don't touch that dial. We're about to show a fascinating series of hard sell commercials, the kind that run at 2 a.m. when you're most vulnerable to post-hypnotic suggestions.
For good and ill.
I was just going to ask. I wonder how that folded in, because I'm acutely aware of the infomercial history, but I wasn't sure about how RONCO fit in with that.
Well, Chris is teaching.
It was kind of the original. I mean, he really broke the ice on this because he actually started before the 70s, doing the on-air pitching. He was doing it like back in the late 50s and early 60s.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you the greatest kitchen appliance ever made.
And I believe back then he was doing it in that, how I grew up in Milwaukee, but this will resonate with Mark. A lot of local stations would give time to local producers or local sellers. And I always remember on good days we used to get WGN. And WGN had, I think, between its like 8 and 9 o'clock spot before they really started doing a lot of local morning television. They would kick it over to a local guy or gal or somebody. And do, this was back when nobody feared a 15-minute segment. And so they would have 2 15 minutes of local Chicago whatevers doing sales and advertising and little pitches for their products. And I know that Popeil really came, and this is probably where the test bed was for this idea, was doing some of that work regionally where he was. But you're right in that, the modern model that we have for an infomercial, that was born of him.
He is the architect. I mean,
yeah.
Do you have a list of the greatest products, by the way, Chris?
I do, and I'll jump to that in just a moment.
Ooh,
there's one other piece in the history that I've got to get in here, and
yeah.
in the reading that I did, and I couldn't find supporting material, so I don't know if this is factual or apocryphal.
Okay.
But word has it, he actually coined the phrase.
But wait, there's more.
If it's apocryphal, it's appropriately placed. Because you figure if anybody did, it was him.
Well, even if he didn't coin it, he certainly hammered it home.
Yeah, he popularized it.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, Ty. Elevated it to the greatness that it is now.
Exactly.
The cultural touchstone. So hit us with some of the best products that we might remember.
Best products. I'm going to kick off the list simply because I just got a slap chop the other day. And
I finally shoved that down your throat, didn't I?
And I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. RONCO was way ahead of the slap chop with...
It's called Chop-O-Matic. The secret of this remarkable machine is every time I tap on the knob, the blades rotate automatically. That's what makes Chop-O-Matic so amazing.
Chop-O-Matic.
All your onions chopped to perfection without a single tear.
Except for the fact that it really did nothing more than kind of mangle what you put in.
It didn't work very well.
That's the one where the cross would spin about 20 degrees every time it went around.
So
regardless,
is the hyphen-o-matic thing, does that also belong to the Chop-O-Matic? Because I went right to Bass-O-Matic here, right?
They use it on a number of products.
Yeah, you figure, Mark, I think you're probably right. I think the O-Matic aspect of it is probably his.
I wonder about that, because I'm seeing Dan Aykroyd now in my head.
Right?
Yes, fish eaters, the days of troublesome scaling, cutting, and gutting are over. Because Super Bass-O-Matic 76 is the tool that lets you use the whole bass with no fish waste without scaling, cutting, or gutting.
That's some tasty bass.
Bass-O-Matic.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, the kitchen tools are really where he started out. So what else did we get in that
Let's move on
realm?
from Chop-O-Matic to one of their best-known products and best satirized products, the Veg-O-Matic.
Introducing Popeil's amazing Veg-O-Matic 2. New improved cutting rings make food cutting easier than ever. Saves you time by slicing whole potatoes in only one stroke. Turns whole onions into zesty, thin slices for delicious hamburgers. Slices mushrooms, tasty juliennes from sliced carrots. Turn the dial, slices are automatically thicker. Dial from slice to dice, fast, easy, and sliced onions become diced by the panful.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So what else is on the list?
Keep going, Chris. Keep going.
Yeah, let's move on. So the last of the O-Matics was the Dial-O-Matic.
It's Popeil's Dial-O-Matic Mark IV, the quality appliance that can slice, dice, chop, slaw, julienne, and French fry. With just a turn of the dial, you can julienne carrots or julienne Swiss cheese for delicious salads. Chop onions, slice the thinnest potatoes ever, shred cabbage for tasty coleslaw, or thin-sliced tomatoes for tacos.
Which was basically a mandolin slicer, except that it had a little dial mechanism so that you could change, you could create a little gap and change the width of your slicing.
Yeah. I just remember that thing, for all its good design, because of the plastic that it was made of, it was hungering for your fingertips. The whole thing flexed in a very dangerous way.
Not only that, but with all the vegetable juices that were generated, it was a pain to wash.
Yeah,
because it would stain like with carrot or tomato 3 times.
Let's move further on down the list into all those products that improved our lives.
Yeah, so he got away from kitchen gadgets and started developing other projects. And Mark, you mentioned one, the Pocket Fisherman.
It's the fishing invention of the century. Popeil's Pocket Fisherman. Compact enough to fit glove compartment or your pocket. It's rod, reel, line, bobber, hook, the whole thing. Just flip up nylon rod and you can cast like a pro anywhere. Expert or amateur will love Pocket Fisherman. And does it catch fish? Can you think of a more exciting gift for Junior or Dad at just $19.95?
The Pocket Fisherman,
Yes.
which I remember one year we all got Pocket Fisherman for Christmas. And, of course, I was an 8-year-old kid. I tried to turn mine into a laser or a lightsaber or something like that.
Well,
use case,
right?
Chris. Use case.
Yeah, right. Then the Inside the Shell Egg Scrambler is one of theirs.
Huge.
And then there were a couple other little products along the way. And then the Showtime Rotisserie.
That's right. It's now under $100. Order it in black or order it in white. Then you can make a delicious 6-pound chicken. Not one, but 2 delicious rotisserie chickens. A scrumptious, flavorful 6.5-pound standing rib roast.
Set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it.
You just set it and forget it.
You just set it and you forget about it.
You just set it and then forget it.
Set it and forget it.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
And have your fire extinguisher handy.
And burn your house down. Yep.
This was, I do believe this was after UL testing was instituted, because UL testing for all electrical products, if I remember right, came along in 1979, was National UL testing certification for all plug-in electric products.
Huh. Okay.
But I do remember that thing was flimsy AF. It's not that it didn't do its job. It's just that it didn't do its job particularly safely, especially if you're taking a chicken and putting it in there for the better part of an hour.
I think you would have done better with an Easy Bake Oven, to be honest.
Yeah, I've made some quality cupcakes in Easy Bake Ovens, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Baking with light bulbs.
Eat as heat.
Yeah, moving along to we'll just do a rundown of a couple others. The smokeless ashtray.
Now, we've all had that experience, I imagine. I had a couple in my house.
Yeah, my dad had one.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Sort of worked. Like, as with almost all Ronco products, it sort of worked.
Yep.
It moved air.
Well, yeah, and sort of had this charcoal filter thing that
worked for 2 days, and then it just sat there and stank when it wasn't on.
Exactly. And the ashtray itself, I mean, it was not a showpiece.
No, it wasn't.
That you would want to display proudly in your house.
Although, interestingly enough, now it would be a showpiece. It would be a retro showpiece.
Because it fits that whole kind of retro thing.
Sure.
The electric food dehydrator, you remember the kind of cylinder thing with all the trays that stack?
Now, I will stand in defense of that. Mm-hmm. If you go out, I mean, yeah, you can spend tons of money. And I mean, Ty, I still live in a deep state of jealousy once you upgraded your oven and now have a built-in dehydrator in your oven, you bastard. But those dehydrators were a great example of a minimalist approach to solve a problem using only the materials needed to get the job done. And those things work. And after it fell out of patent protection, now 1,000 people or 1,000 companies around the world make those.
Oh, yeah.
And those things still work perfectly. So
I was just going to say, he was really ahead of his time with some of this stuff. I mean, we laugh at some of it, but like, I'm looking at the Miracle Broom, right? Which looks like a dust devil.
Shark?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I'm looking at like the Steam Away, which now is all over the place.
Hand steamers?
Yeah. But then they kind of take a little turn into the dangerous / absurd.
A lot of his products were almost sort of beta for products that are just totally available.
Somebody got a hold of the idea and made a better mousetrap out of his design.
Better. Yeah, exactly.
How about the pasta maker?
Yeah, now we get to my very favorite and the last one on my list, the RONCO pasta maker.
Now, over here we're making just plain ordinary water pasta. That's flour, olive oil, an egg, and just a touch of water.
And I can't help but see, look at the different shapes and the different colors.
Here we're making spinach linguine. Now, how do
I had one, and I absolutely loved that thing. And, living in Seattle, of course, I was using Bob's Red Mill for my pasta, because that's what you do if you live in this region. you just pour in a measured amount of your semolina or whatever, and a little bit of water, and you close it and turn it on, and it tumbles, and it makes these little pea-sized, and then you push it through the extractor, and it does all of it for you.
Yeah, the only thing that was wrong with that is
pasta
that
was fantastic.
It was, because anytime pasta is made fresh and even halfway decently, it far surpasses dried pasta.
Oh, yeah.
The problem with that was that the motor for it was more powerful than the auger and the extrusion die were able to keep up with.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Chris, but when I had one, I was given one as a gift. I was popping off the extruder, the extruder die.
Yeah, because you had those different dies, and yes, I was always popping mine off too.
Yeah, you needed to wrench the fuck out of that thing to keep it in place. But again, conceptually and by design, the RONCO stuff was actually really good. What it normally suffered from was materials for production. Because we didn't have the same, and I mean, look, I'm not going to be here to extol the wonderful world of plastics, but we didn't have the same chemical plastics manufacturing ability that we do now with PEP and PAL and all those other types of very durable plastics. And so really, the ideas were good, but they were one step beyond the tensilicity of a lot of the plastics that were being used. And so it's not that you broke them, it's that they kind of broke themselves.
They were sort of built to break. I mean,
break down.
And that does actually bring up an interesting point, that for the price point, because one of the other appeals of Popeil's stuff was it was priced where, cheap. The average person can afford it. Sure, you could go out and you could get a Batali pasta maker for your KitchenAid back in the 80s, and that was like $400 back in the 80s.
Yeah, and the RONCO pasta maker was like $80.
Yeah, $80, which, comparing the two, you're going to go with the cheaper route.
I'm sorry, $79.95.
Oh, and that nickel makes a difference, man. It's not $80.
It's not $80.
Well, but that brings us to another interesting point, because if he didn't institute it or come up with it, he was also definitely one of those people that ran with this idea that $79.95 is not $80. And so we will price our stuff with that differential, because psychologically it helps people make a decision.
And as a guy in marketing, I have this conversation with my clients all the time. Me personally, I like round numbers. I feel they're transparent, they're honest.
What does that have to do with marketing?
The facts show.
Well played. Ron Popeil is one of those American icons, and I really do look at him as an American icon, because
I think that's safe. Yeah.
Yeah, his whole approach really shaped and informed how we moved forward into the future in kind of an invisible way.
Guys,
but my very favorite RONCO product of all time was the LP vacuum cleaner.
Yes.
We sell a lot of records, and records cost a lot of money. But what good is spending a lot of money if your records don't sound good because of dust and static electricity? That's why I recommend to all our customers the new record vacuum by RONCO. It's so easy to use. Just insert any size record, 33 1/3, 45s, 78s. The new record vacuum automatically vacuums away all the microdust particles that distort sound and can damage your needle. It also eliminates static electricity buildup. The record vacuum by RONCO protects your records and gives you all the quality sound you paid for. It makes this sound like this. For the price of a couple of albums, protect your records and prevent damage to your needle. If you want the best possible sound from all your records, get the new record vacuum by RONCO. In fact, buy 2 or 3. They really do make great Christmas gifts.
Walgreens, Woolco Woolworth, Osco Drug, Family Drug Centers, Ace Hardware, Good Neighbor Pharmacies, authorized RONCO dealers.
It worked all of about one day.
Yeah, really? Yeah, it did. And it sounded for all the world like you were buffing off all the grooves in your LP.
Yeah, you were grinding it right down. You were grinding the songs right off.
But when it worked, it did sort of work. The problem is, and this is something too that this whole infomercial world kind of leans on, is it's solving a problem that you didn't really have.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you just took a modicum of time to keep your LPs clean, you should never have to fucking vacuum them.
Those were the days.
Or compressed air and a chamois cloth.
A lint-free chamois cloth.
Just for legacy purposes here, Chris, if you're almost done, I'm just looking at the website.
I am.
And it turns out the only 3 things they still sell, they have a whole series of rotisseries, a whole series of food dehydrators, and the RONCO Pocket Fisherman.
Can you think of a more exciting gift for Junior or Dad at just $19.95?
Oh, right on.
That's the
I
only
am
thing
glad
left.
to hear that
That's
survived.
the residual,
That
the leftovers.
There is one product that my list missed that I was thinking of while you were talking.
Oh, I got a few.
And it we can't have this conversation without mentioning it, which is the spray-on hair.
GL8 is not a paint or a cover-up. It's an amazing powder that clings to the tiniest hairs on your head. It actually builds on itself, leaving you with great-looking hair.
The hair in a can.
God.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Wow.
Was that a New purchase?
You mean you missed it by way of not remembering it? It's not that you actively miss it.
No, I don't
Was
miss
that
it.
part of
No.
your routine? It might be part of mine now.
Do I look like I use hair in a can?
But there was also, guys, the, remember the bottle jar cutter?
We are unwrapping the greatest gift you will ever give to Mom, Dad, even the kids. It's the RONCO Bottle and Jar Cutter, an exciting new way to recycle throwaway bottles and jars into decorative glassware, centerpieces, thousands of things. Emery cloth is included to make glasses drinking smooth. A hobby for Dad, craft for the kids, or great gift for Mom. The RONCO Bottle and Jar Cutter, still only $7.77.
Where you can make your own. Yeah. And then there was the really absurd, like the rhinestone and stud.
Introducing the Rhinestone and Stud Setter. It changes everyday clothing into exciting fashions.
Rhinestone thing.
They got on the back very quickly of a lot of popular trends, and that was as a result of course, Urban Cowboy.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, everybody, we're going to take a quick break after we return from this long wander down memory lane. I am Andrew Scott. That is Chris Ronco Popeil Vacano, and that is Ty Robert Anthony. That is Dr. Mark Peterson. We're going to be back with my 3 songs in just a second on the other side of this break. This is the Narrowband Broadcast Network. We are the guys from Keep Your Hat On, and we will be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back for the last segment of Keep Your Hat On. We are the guys from Keep Your Hat On, obviously, or else I wouldn't have said that. I'm Andrew Scott, along with my good friends Chris Vacano and Robert Anthony. And we're kicking it over to Dr. Mark C.E. Peterson for...
My Three Songs. Starring Dr. Mark Peterson.
There you go. We are doing My Three Songs. And it's Mark's three songs today. And by the way, Mark, did you notice how I timed it last time with this segment where you were actually singing along to the theme? I thought that worked out really well.
Was charming.
So what do you got for us?
And it's only because I'm the only one of us old enough to have actually watched that show.
Oh, bullshit. I watched that plenty as a kid.
I watched it in reruns.
Yeah. Both black and white and color.
So I have, I like to go random. I like to randomize things. And it's like, I have to say, it's like having everything on your phone is awesome because these songs have been with me for decades now.
Sure.
And what was fun was like, so I'll give you the three that came up in my playlist most recently. I have Artie Garfunkel singing Waters of March on the one album he did on his own after he broke up. And it's a great Brazilian tune, of course, you're probably aware of it. And I was just thinking about him, by the way, because I rewatched Catch-22.
Ooh, hey, after our namesake.
By the way, everybody needs to go back and rewatch that freaking movie.
Fuck yes, they do. Today?
Which?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
no,
do.
wait. The original or the remake?
There's a remake?
Yeah,
there's only the original.
There's a limited series on I think it's on Netflix.
I heard that
I
that's
thoroughly
actually
enjoyed
pretty.
it.
I heard that that's actually pretty good.
It
Okay,
was
well,
really
I'm
good.
thinking. I was watching the
anyhow.
original, and of course, Artie Garfunkel was trying to make movies. Remember, he was in well, maybe you don't remember, but he was in Carnal Knowledge, for instance.
Yeah.
With Carol Kane, that was a weird moment.
Yeah,
and then he was also, but anyway, he showed up in Catch-22 as one of the pilots. And so,
Pilots, yeah.
Anyway, so I was listening to that, and it's interesting because he shortened up the tune considerably from the original Brazilian version.
Right.
But it's a great weird song. For those of you who don't know it, go listen to it.
Yeah, and it's on our Spotify playlist, our My Three Songs Spotify playlist.
Yeah, it's a very sophisticated chord structures. It's funny because I'm learning to
Very
play it on, I'm learning to play it on the
it's really
ukulele.
weird. Yeah.
In fact, because that's going to be a hit at the next Ukulele World Congress. Don't tell anybody.
Make it so.
I also came up the forbidden Randy Newman song, which must never be played on radio again, Rednecks. And for those, I first heard this song in the dormitory at the University of South Alabama in 1976. And it's like, because you listen to the first part of the chorus, of course, which I cannot repeat here, frankly. I'm just not going to do it. But I have to say, it's like if you listen to the whole song, it is a blistering critique of race relations in the North.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Right? And it's
that's
like, you think that the rednecks are all down south. It's like, no, they aren't. They're still, they're in all sorts of places. African Americans are free to be put in a cage in Boston and Chicago and L.A. and St. Louis.
Oddly timely.
Interesting, isn't it, how that worked out?
Yeah.
You know,
but a great album,
and a great artist. I mean, I think Randy Newman, very much like similar to Ron Popeil, who we were just talking about. You know, he did really amazing, influential things in music, but was always kind of quietly in the background.
My God, yeah.
Prolifically in the background.
Superstar level.
Well, and not only that, he and his stuff, and I mean, outside of what you're talking about, Mark, for the most part, his stuff has aged really, really well.
It's still
awesome. Of course, you can't do short people anymore, even though, you know, what he was doing was hyperbole and very deep satire.
See, he was too sophisticated for the audience because I still remember...
Way too.
I still remember Short People, and if you actually listen to the lyrics of Short People, it's like the whole break in the thing is short people are just the same as everybody else, and stop making fun of short people. And it's like, apparently nobody listened to that part of the lyric, right?
That's they only remember the main part.
I was just going to say, you still have people that think that Born in the USA is this cheery song.
Oh,
right? Yeah.
Right.
I saw an interview with Springsteen where Springsteen goes, did they listen to it?
Yeah, did
Really?
they listen to the song?
Almost to the point where he spits on the ground about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. So what's your third song, Mark?
Third one is this Canadian singer-songwriter who I got to see a few years ago named Corin Raymond.
And you infected me with this guy, and I thank you for it. I've dug through, and you are absolutely right about him. He is just in my wheelhouse.
And the song that came up in my playlist is on Hard on Things, which is on Hobo Jungle Fever Dreams.
I'm hard on my friends because it's hard to care for someone you love who's hardly there. I'm hard on my wallet, I'm hard for cash. I go hard until I crash. Hard on my liver, it's hard on my head. Hard to sleep when I lie in bed with the nightmares the morning brings. Do you understand me? Hard on things.
Oh,
and
awesome
I got to
is that?
see him. I got introduced to him. I went to the Stan Rogers Folk Festival.
Oh, nice.
In Canso, Nova Scotia,
Oh.
which is literally, if you drive east as far as possible, that's Canso. It's about an hour or two north of Halifax. It's where it's where the Atlantic cable first came ashore in North America.
Right. Wow.
And it's like, if you guys haven't
Look that
timed
up,
this,
internet kids. That's how
it's
we
actually,
connected back then.
From where I am in outside of Milwaukee, Vegas is closer.
Wow.
That's how far it is. Anyway, so Corin Raymond was there, and it's like, I never heard this guy. My Canadian friends are all going, oh, you got to meet this guy. And of course, because it's a really casual setting, I got to talk to him for a little while. His lyrics and his work, I'm going to just say this, are up there with John Prine. I swear to God.
They
And if
really
you
are,
listen,
especially his lyrics.
If you listen to this guy, it's all authentic as hell. And I will just share one funny story with you, and it wasn't this particular album, but he has one album, and I think he just did a live concert on the Great Canadian Tire Money Caper. And so at Canadian Tire, it's like the I think we talked about this the other day. In a way, it's like, what is Canadian Tire?
It's
like
the Fleet Farm of Canada.
Yeah, but I don't know what the Fleet Farm is in the rest of the United States. It's sort of like,
it's one of those. It's a big box sort of thing where you can buy pretty much anything you need.
It's sort of a small home. Yeah, it's like a scaled down. It's a bodega version of a Home Depot.
Yeah, I would say that with more housewares.
Yeah.
And less building material.
So for every $100 you spent, you got like $1 in Canadian Tire paper money. And they would like come in nickels and quarter size. And so what Corin Raymond did was, years ago, is he had all of his fans send in all of their, because everybody just keeps this shit. They never use it for anything.
Everybody's got a coffee can with these things full of them.
He had his fans send in enough of this Canadian Tire money to produce one of his albums.
Yeah, because Canadian Tire money does have an actual monetary equivalent. You can go in with your Canadian Tire money and turn it into actual green money.
And so this was like S&H green stamps used to be.
There you go.
Right.
And it was called Paper Nickels. So that's another album to look for.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
right on.
Those are the three on my list.
That's amazing.
Very
That's
solid
like the original
offerings.
GoFundMe.
Honest
in a weird
to God.
way.
No, actually, it's more like GoFundMe, eh?
Yeah, GoFundMe, eh?
If you go find him on YouTube, I bet you any place he has the story about how he did all that, and that's his storytelling skills are just like off the freaking scale. So I'm a mad fan for this guy.
Awesome. And those are three fabulous suggestions. And of course, you can find them on Spotify on our Keep Your Hat On My 3 Songs podcast. Go look us up on Spotify, where you can also actually listen to the audio version of our show. But honestly, people, that's kind of what we got. We're keeping it tight today. Mark's got to go ukify things.
I do.
And Ty's got to go try to live a life, because he can only cram it into Sunday now. And Chris and I get to live the life of lazy-ass content creator bachelors. But hey, folks, thanks a lot for joining us again on Keep Your Head On podcast. I'm Andrew Scott. That's Dr. Mark Peterson. That is Ty Robert Anthony. That's Chris Vicano. Make sure to visit our merch shop, kyhopodcast.com/shop, and support us. Get yourself a hat, get yourself a shirt, get yourself a face mask, and keep wearing the damn thing.
While supplies still last.
But wait, there's more. You can all... I stuck that.
Yeah, you did.
You can also support us on Patreon, which is patreon.com/NBBN. But until next time, everybody, this has been Keep Your Hat On, the show where, hell, even we don't know where we're going to go. And remember, keep your hat on. We may end up miles from here. Take care, everybody. Wear your masks. Wash your hands. Take care of your fellow man. Get your damn shots. And we'll see you next time on Keep Your Hat On. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. So long and peace.
Well, there's a chunk of time you can't get back. From Portland, Oregon, this has been Keep Your Hat On, a big little show about a whole lot of nothing in particular. Keep Your Hat On is a narrowband broadcast network production in association with PodSquadPDX.com. Andrew Scott, executive producer. Robert Anthony and Chris Vicano, associate producers. Our theme music was written and produced by Andrew Scott, along with help from Ron Kajawa. Website design and maintenance by Vicano Creative, Chris Vicano Webmaster. Available at VicanoCreative.com. Audio and video production by Andrew Scott, available at AndrewScottMedia.com. Got ideas or comments for the show? Email us at talkback@kyhopodcast.com, and don't forget to like, click, and subscribe. On behalf of the boys, I'm your announcer, Michael Brumage. Thanks for listening. I guess.
It's the fishing invention of the century.
The only brush with a patented rotating head
that quickly locates your lost golf ball. GLH is not a paint or a cover-up.
It gives you an accurate digital readout in feet and inches.
It actually builds on itself.
removes dirt, lint, ashes, hair, dandruff,
leaving you with great-looking hair.
hobby for dad, craft for the kids, or great gift for mom.
Hey, good looking. I'll be back to pick you up later.
Wow, that's terrific bass.
NBBN.
The Narrowband Broadcast Network.
The focus is on you.